And now we are live.
Here we
What's up,
are.
KJ?
I'm so happy to see you, Tom.
Well, I'm happy to see you and be around somebody. Actually, talk to somebody. I've been in quarantine now for not. This will be day 10 that I've been in.
Yeah. Jeez.
It's not very fun.
And you even have it's like dark and dreary in your room there. Like turn some
Well,
lights on, Tom.
I do have lights on. Look, let me show you. I got my window
Okay.
open over here.
Okay. All right. All right.
They recommend. We'll get into that in a minute, but they recommend that um, keep your windows open, keep a breeze going, all that kind of stuff. So I've been up here holed up for 10 days in my bedroom. I feel like I'm in a hotel room. Actually, I got my bed, I got my master bathroom, and I got this little love seat couch, which I don't know if you can see this here or not, but
Wow. So
couch.
you moved to a hotel?
I feel like I'm at the Marriott right now with really top-notch room service. Oh man, it's been a pain. I tell you what, for those of you that maybe they're watching this and don't know, I do have COVID. I was vaccinated, fully vaccinated back in March, and it's just been a struggle. It's one of those things that's like you just don't believe that you have COVID.
Yeah.
So
Well,
let me.
I'm glad that you wanted to have the conversation, and I hope that, obviously we welcome comments. I hope it stays in a civilized place
Civil.
where we can just learn from this, because it's been hard on you, and it was a little bit shocking last week when you sent me the message, and then talking last night about whether or not we should even do this today. But your post, for anyone who maybe hasn't been following Tom on Facebook, your posts have just been genuine and honest and full of a lot of good information that might help somebody else who maybe doesn't think that COVID is going to happen to them.
Yeah, people think it's just a joke, and I can tell you guys, it is not a joke. And I think a lot of people downplay it, like, well, it's just the flu, or you just get sick for a little while. It's like, no, this is day 10 and I'm still running a fever. KJ, have you ever had a fever for 10 days on anything?
No. No, I have not.
Have you ever had to stay in your quarantine? Have you ever had to stay at home, and not just quarantine, like staying at home watching TV, like you're snowed in, like you have to stay away from people and wear a mask to get food from your wife or husband? Have you ever done that for 10 days in a row? Any reason?
No. Early on, my husband had some symptoms, and it scared the crap out of us, and so he holed up in a bedroom, and we did the thing. I mean, like, I would set food outside his door and knock on the door, and he would come and get it, and like it was just, thankfully, and this was, before rapid testing. So I think it was 4 days that we had
Yeah.
to do that before we knew he didn't have it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was totally bizarre and scary. And he was, like you're doing, stuck in a room by himself.
Right.
And you're trying to get better, but boy, any kind of illness that goes on, I think longer than a week, you just get to the point where you're like, I want it to be done, right?
Yeah, it's really bad. Well, so let me kind of start. We're going to start to get some people watching it again. If people have questions or they have comments, and of course, there's going to be knuckleheads say stupid stuff, but I expect that. I mean, there's a lot of naysayers. There's a lot of people out there who think the whole government just made this thing up. And, if you're a friend of mine, I will unfriend you because I can't associate with idiots anymore. I'm just over that part of it. But I think it's my story is probably similar to a lot of other people. And when I posted that post, let me share with you really quick the post that I did make. And this was I want to believe it was I think it was last Saturday. I'm not sure. This is the post that I made. It says public service message. And if you haven't seen it, just go to my Facebook page. It says vaccinated does not equal immunity. It's had 154 engagements, 87 comments, and 8 people have shared it. The short of that message is, and it's basically kind of I guess if you want to say my story, is I basically was immunized. Jeannie and I went down when they did the IMS event for the Johnson and Johnson vaccine back in March, on March 8th. She and I went down. We drove down to the track. We had a 4 o'clock appointment. We drove through. We got the shot. I did have symptoms after that. So for maybe a week after I had the vaccine, I just felt a little sluggish.
Yeah, I remember talking about that. I had a little bit of that
Yeah,
too.
and I had
Mhm.
I don't know if you had that, but a lot of people felt a little bit of a fever here and there, which I did. I had a little bit of that. Um, but it was, I expected that, right?
Mhm.
And I think everybody going into getting a vaccine expects that that's probably going to happen.
Yeah.
So you get the vaccine, um, and like a lot of people, and I'm not alone. I felt like a huge sense of relief. I felt like I could
Mhm.
travel again. I felt like I could go anywhere I wanted. I felt like I could be around people and not worry about it. In my mind, COVID was over.
Mhm.
And man, that's probably a dumb assumption, honestly. But it's like the CDC and the health departments and all those guys are pushing, get the vaccine, get immunized. And when I think of immunization, I think of polio and everything else I got a vaccine for, which I never got. Right, kept me from
Mhm.
getting polio. And so this was no different. I thought I was bulletproof was the term I used. I thought I was good. I didn't need a vaccine, and all these masks are for people who are unvaccinated. One of the things I saw, and I've heard it on television, I've read it in the paper, and even Biden said it about 1st of August. He said, "This is the pandemic of the unvaccinated." It was the quote that he used.
Yep, I
And I thought,
remember that.
yeah, get the vaccine. You don't have to worry about it. Come on, dummies, get the vaccine. That was kind of my mental state. So then fast forward to about 2 weeks ago, and I'm bulletproof, right? I'm walking around feeling no pain. There's no COVID in my life. What have I got to worry about? Jeannie's vaccinated, my wife, my kids are all vaccinated. Um, we have no concerns. Um, I went down to Nashville, Tennessee. So there was a users conference that Jeannie and I, my son and daughter-in-law, we all drove down together. I drove in my Durango, and we left on Wednesday afternoon. And Thursday we got down there, and the Wednesday night before we went out to Tootsie's in Nashville. You ever been to Tootsie's, KJ?
I have not. It sounds wonderful.
Tootsie's is like not the oldest, one of the oldest bars on Broadway. They've always got live music. The guy that
Okay.
was there, we've seen him. He's there every night, right? From
Okay.
6 to 8 or 9. He's really funny, really good. Their claim to fame is as they're singing, as they're playing songs, they have a tip bucket. They all play for tips, and they say if you put a $20 bill in our bucket, your song will go to the top of our playlist.
Oh.
So guess what? An ATM trip later, and about 8 songs into it, we're having a good time. So Thursday morning, I wake up. We have to be at the conference at 9 or 8:30 in the morning, and I don't feel 100%, but I've been at Tootsie's all night, and I haven't had a whole lot of sleep, and I don't sleep well in a foreign place anyway.
Yeah.
Didn't think much of it. We had to wear a mask the whole time. They took temperatures, all this. Um, it That day went fine. Thursday night, went out to dinner with all the folks at the conference. At the dinner event that they had, there was no mask. Everybody it was just a public thing. And at that event, I still didn't feel 100%, but I didn't feel
Mhm.
feverish. I didn't feel achy or anything. I just felt like, I'm on the road and I got
Yeah.
Tootsie's catching up with me, right? So Friday morning, I get up and I still don't feel 100%, but again, I'm on the road. I did sleep better. Um, we came home Friday afternoon, got home Friday night, felt decent. I just felt tired. really
Mhm.
was the only symptom that I had. Again, we've been on a road trip and
Yeah.
running for 48 straight hours. Didn't think much of it. Saturday we get up, we had all kinds of we rented a boat Saturday, so we had a boat run already lined up. So Jeannie and I went out on the boat. We took River on the boat. I put some pictures on my Facebook, but you know, I just didn't feel 100%, but I didn't feel at all sick. I just didn't feel 100%.
Mhm.
And then later that night, went to Conner Prairie. Again, our kids came with us, sitting outside, still not 100%. Jeannie starts asking her, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I just feel tired." You know, that was it. Sunday
Yeah.
mornings when I woke up, and I had a fever,
Ugh.
and I was like, "Oh crap!" You know, here we go. I've got a fever. I haven't felt good for a few days. I wonder if this is COVID. Now, the fever was a little different than other fevers I've had in the past.
Okay.
It was a mild fever, but it was one of those fevers that you just know you have. Like when I woke up, I was like, I got a fever, you know.
Yeah. Yep.
And I took my
You feel
temperature,
it.
and so I was like, I was in shock. I was like, I'm vaccinated, and Jeannie, you're vaccinated. We slept in the same bed. Are you feeling symptoms at all? No, she's not feeling symptoms. So Jeannie went down and bought. Now, just so everybody knows, this is a. Let me go full screen with this so you can see it here.
Yeah.
This is the home test you can get at CVS. It's called Binax Now. It's a home COVID test, and there are 2 tests in this box. Very simple to use. It's about $25 for this.
Okay.
There is a run on these things right now, so you may go to CVS and they don't have any. They're probably going to be out. Just go
Sure.
back and find out from the clerk when they're coming back in the next day. Just try to get there early and try to get them early. They're about $25. There's 2 tests in here. And so Jeannie went down and bought me one, came back. You swab your own nose. You don't go to the back of your brain anymore. You just go about
Okay.
3/4 of the
That's
way
good.
into your nostril. It has a little thing. You put some fluid in. You close it on the Q-tip, and on the front there's a little strip, and it's got, if you have COVID, 2 pink, very distinct pink lines show up.
Okay.
And within about, it said to wait 15 minutes. Within about 30 seconds, I had both of them were already pink.
Yikes.
And I was like, oh, crap. And Jeannie, being the eternal optimist, is like, well, just give it some time. Maybe it won't, maybe it'll go away. You got to wait 15
Maybe
minutes.
it'll disappear.
It's like,
Trust me. Plenty of women have done this with pregnancy tests.
I know. Yeah,
we know.
It's just like a pregnancy test.
Just give it some time. It might see something different.
Except you won't get any kind of dependent tax break.
No.
But I'm sure Abbott, is just making bank on this thing. But anyway, took the test, comes back, I've got COVID. So I took a second one because it comes with 2. And Jeannie's like, well, maybe that one's wrong. Again, eternal optimist. I'm married to an eternal optimist, which is great. It's pink in like 20 seconds. So my quarantine began, and we masked up. I just took over the master bedroom. It wasn't something we thought through. Looking back on it, I probably should have taken a different bedroom because Jeannie has more stuff in here than I do. But as it's turned out, I've made it home, and so we're fine. The initial symptoms on the first really 2.5 days were really, really hard. The temperature got up pretty high. The headaches come. You get really bad headaches. I didn't have the fatigue that a lot of people feel, but again, I was only walking about 10 steps to go to the bathroom and back. So
Yeah.
I'm not a good indicator. Whether or not the fatigue set in, but I can tell you I didn't feel. My mom is on her messaging me that she can't hear me. I think her sound is off on her phone.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too.
I don't think anybody else is having a problem. Mom, just turn up your sound. If you can't hear me, it's called a hearing aid. It's not COVID. But anyway,
what about your taste and smell?
So I had that for the first couple first few days. Day 3, those went away. And that was probably the biggest downer because I got the headaches in check, but then and yes, Lisa, I was vaccinated back in March, if you're asking. But no, I lost a sense of taste and smell a couple days into it. And by that time, I was like, okay, I have all the symptoms now. I got the headaches, I got the fevers, and I've lost taste and smell. I didn't feel a lot of fatigue, but I wasn't moving around a lot. And so I was kind of just going to ride this thing out. The one thing I will tell people, and I posted this again on my Facebook page, I was taking ibuprofen for headaches.
Mhm.
And my daughter Taylor is an ER nurse at Methodist. She deals with COVID every day. She got people coming in every day. She has for a year and a half. She texted me and said, "Don't take ibuprofen, take Tylenol." And so my daughter Stephanie went over to CVS for me and bought me a big bottle of Tylenol. I will say that the Tylenol was a godsend because
Really?
it does help with the headaches considerably. And I will tell you, from the day I started taking the Tylenol, now I was also on day 3 by the time the Tylenol showed up at my doorstep. But by the time the Tylenol showed up, my headaches have pretty much been mitigated or they're technically gone. I haven't had a headache now probably in 4 days.
Oh, good.
So thank you, Tylenol. Thank you for Tylenol. Thank you for that. But once that kind of got going, now for the last 4 days, my only symptom has been a fever. And it's just a
Okay.
mild fever. It's not real high anymore. It was my normal body temperature, and this is probably a HIPAA violation, but my normal body
I
temperature is
think if
90.
you give yourself permission, it's okay.
Well, it's not going to incriminate me, but my normal body temperature is 96.6.
Okay.
Most people's is 98.6. Well, mine's 2 degrees less than that. My mom's the same way. It's just something I was born with. So when I have a fever of over 100, which it did get up to that, that's a big fever for me.
Yeah.
That's almost 4 degrees higher than I should be. Now my temperature has been down in a 97.2 to 97.8, somewhere in that range. Again, it's about a half degree higher than it should be. That's very manageable in my opinion. I don't mind it, but the problem
Yeah.
is it keeps me in quarantine. I can't
You're
get out.
bored. Yeah.
It just keep me bored. But I tell you, one of the things that happened. So I did go to Dr. Aziz Pharmacy and got like a real test. On the box with this Binax Now, which I got at CVS, by the way, is $25. It's a home test. You get 2 of them. If I didn't mention that already.
So are they paying you? Are we doing this because you're endorsing
Actually,
Binax now?
I just got a text. Yeah, I've already made $100 on this. So mentioning test. No,
Do you have a promo code for people to use?
promo code Tom Britt. But no, I got a call. So I went to Dr. Z's and got a test there because I wanted it to be registered with the state that I had it. And I got a call about 3 days later from the Marion County Department of Health. A lady named Stephanie called me. How are you doing with it? What were your symptoms? Were you vaccinated? Yes, I was vaccinated. Which vaccine did you get? When did you get it? A lot of questions they wanted to know, but they're also making sure I was, that my well-being was good. So
Mhm.
what I didn't show her, let me show you this really quick. This was the kind of room service meals I was getting from Jeannie Britt. So
Oh my gosh.
this is chicken parmesan I got one night. This is my breakfast one morning. She made me a quiche with bacon and a banana.
Oh my goodness.
The banana is something that you need with, it has potassium in it, which they said you need. This is another meal she brought to me. This is just a frozen pizza. But if you look up above that, you'll see my dog River
Aw.
was anxiously waiting for me to not eat the pizza. So I told the lady, I was like, I'm in great shape. My wife is like, this is like staying at the Ritz Carlton with room service. And, I can't get any better surroundings than what I've got. My kids
Right.
bringing stuff over. My son's bringing over dog food. I got my daughter bringing
Aw.
cookies and stuff. I'm in great shape. Call somebody else that needs help, but thank you so much. I thought that was interesting that they call to make sure you don't need any resources and you don't need any help. I thought that was great, not for me, obviously, because I am well taken care of. It's for the other people that maybe got the COVID test back and are staying at home, and they're trying to figure out how to get back to work because they need the money, or
Yeah.
they
Oh,
got
and it's
kids
like,
they're
what do
taking care
you
of.
your kids? And yeah, there's a lot of people that when this hits them, it really, really it impacts every area of their life.
Yeah. So it was interesting that they did that. I think what I've been researching now that I've got COVID is there's been a lot of stories coming out. CNN had a story. It came out on August the 2nd, and it said the headline said less than 1% of fully vaccinated people experience a breakthrough COVID-19 infection, analysis finds. This was on August 2nd, a CNN story. And I'm thinking to myself, am I just 1% of the population of people who've been vaccinated getting this COVID? But
Mhm.
if you read the second sentence of the story, it says the federal government only reports data on breakthrough infections that result in hospitalization or death. In other words, they're only counting the people that ended up in the hospital or died from getting COVID after being vaccinated. So in other words, they don't know how many people out there like myself have been vaccinated but are getting COVID anyway.
Yeah, that was I have a friend who works in government who was explaining that to me, that it's considered breakthrough if you end up hospitalized or died, because if you were vaccinated and the goal of the vaccination was to teach our bodies how to fight it so that we don't end up hospitalized or dead, right? So
Right,
if you get it and you don't end up hospitalized or dead, they don't consider that a breakthrough
right.
case.
So if you do get COVID, so if you're like me, and you get COVID after you've been vaccinated, or you've never been vaccinated and you get COVID, here's what you have to do. Number one, you got to quarantine, right? You need to get everybody away from you, and you get away from everybody else, and open your windows and get some fresh air because you just don't want the germs lingering in your house. Secondly, buy a bottle of Tylenol. I'm not getting any promo money from this. Buy Tylenol.
Use
Every
promo code Tom Britt.
Don't take anything else. Take Tylenol. The second thing, and this is from my cousin Carrie, who's a nurse down in, and actually my daughter Taylor told me the same thing. But my cousin Carrie said 100 milligrams of zinc, Pepsid 20 milligrams daily, and vitamin D 1,000 IU's daily. So take zinc, Pepsid.
Pepsid
Yeah, I have
was
no idea.
is that I mean, I've heard that there are some cases where it upsets the stomach. So I guess maybe as a preventative.
Maybe. And vitamin D, those are the things you're supposed to take. Also, potassium was mentioned. So what I did, I already had multivitamins,
Mhm.
and we checked the bottle. All of those things, not Pepsid, obviously, but everything else was in the multivitamin.
Is there an age where they just add Pepsid to your
Yes,
vitamins?
stick a little Pepsid, and we'll make a little
You need
cocktail
all
up.
of these vitamins and you clearly cannot eat anything anymore, so have some Pepsid.
So that's what they recommend taking to help you get through it. Again, this cough is from COVID. I mean, I've had a little
Yeah.
dry cough, but it does affect your respiratory system. It's a respiratory virus.
Yeah, I have asthma, so I've been doing the vitamin D, the extra vitamin D the entire time, and my multivitamin and stuff like that. But I mean, it's scary. We had a family gathering over the weekend, and I have a nephew who is immunocompromised, and not old enough to get a vaccine. And so we've been really, really careful because I have to make that decision about, are these choices that I'm making going to impact his health, or does that mean that I need to stay away from him because I don't want him to get COVID? And we had a family gathering this weekend, and we still had it outside, and everybody still wore masks when they went inside, and we did all the things. And my sister texted me at 4:30 in the morning and said he was running a fever and coughing,
Oh
and
no.
but thankfully, he does not have COVID, but we had to wait. Took him to the ER, and he's young, he's 8, and he's scared, and
Yeah.
we've done, and I mean, it was a really, really long 24 hours, and I had even said to her, I'm like, honey, if he has it, like, he didn't get it last night and wake up with a fever. Like, you didn't do anything wrong seeing your family at a gathering for the first time in 18 months. Like, that's not that, this is
Right.
not how it's happening. But I think about those families, and because I've worked with Make-A-Wish, those, parents that can't get the vaccine for their kids, whose kids are compromised, and there's nothing they can do right now. And if you think
Hmm.
about how a mask impacts your life, or getting the vaccine impacts your life, if you can think about it from a bigger standpoint of, I don't want to be the reason that some kid that didn't have a chance against COVID got it. That's
Right.
kind of how I, kind of, when I'm like, because we're all sick of it, right? Like,
Right.
we're all sick of, none of us want to be doing this anymore. You don't want to be in quarantine.
Mm-mm.
Nobody wants to be wearing a mask or being like, okay, maybe we shouldn't go to big gatherings now. But
Right.
like,
Right.
it's here. It's still here, and there's still vulnerable people that don't have an option to be protected. So
Well, that was the
that's
one
kind of
thing.
how I look at it.
That was the one thing that I was worried about when I took the test and found I had it. I had been around a lot of people in the days leading up to that, and I was thinking to myself, "Oh my God, did I give this to somebody unknowingly?
Yeah.
And should I
Well,
have stayed home knowing
I'll
I
tell
didn't
you,
feel
Tom, in
comfortable?"
my family, my niece never had any symptoms, but her dad and mom did, and her dad died, and she knows he got it from her. She tested positive first in the
Yeah.
family. She didn't have any symptoms. He got it, and they weren't vaccinated, and he passed away, and her mom is still fighting for her
And
life.
that was in Florida, is that right? Your
Yep.
family? Yeah. And that
Yeah.
was recently, right? That was like a month
Yes.
ago.
Yeah. It was very, very recent. And, I mean, it's, that she's thankfully she's been out, talking to people and saying, like, this is what happened. I don't want it to happen to you. But once
Yeah.
it happens,
Right. Like,
so.
I do wanna take this question from Kim
Mhm.
Carpenter. Hey, Kim, thanks for watching. Known Kim for a long time. She's asking, "Were you taking anything prior, like vitamin D3, zinc, or do you think the vaccine gave you a shield?" I thought the vaccine was my immunity. I didn't think I needed to take that stuff. Now, I was taking a multivitamin occasionally. I don't take it every day, but when I would think about it, I take it on average probably twice a week. I took a multivitamin. So I wasn't 100% not taking that stuff, but I wasn't taking a preventative vitamin at all.
Yeah.
Looking back on it, would that have had an effect? Possibly. I don't know. But I guess my takeaway to everybody, if you're watching this, just have a healthy respect for COVID. You don't have to wear a helmet over your head. You don't get mad at people if they're not wearing masks. And if they're 6 feet away from you and not wearing a mask, let them go. If they don't, if you got family members like your uncle that decided he did not want to get a vaccine and they think it's the government coming after them, or they think that they're afraid of shots, whatever their excuse is to not get a vaccine, let them roll the dice. Okay, you can't help those people. But if you have been vaccinated, all I can tell you is you are not immune from COVID. No matter what they tell you, you're not immune. Now, I was watching on IU. IU Health had a video from an immunologist. If you go to IU Saxony's or IU Health North, I think it was the page, they got an immunologist. And I'll share it on my page talking about getting the booster. Now they're talking about getting the
Mhm.
vaccine booster.
Yep.
They do tell you that every month that goes by after your vaccine, that you will lose some of your immunity to the vaccine to COVID. Now, mine was on March 8th. So basically, I was 5.5 months ago that I had my vaccine. Could that have been part of
Yeah.
why I got it? I don't know. I would have to say it had to have something to do with it, but I'm not going to run out and get a COVID booster right away because I'm in COVID right now. I don't think I need it at this point. I think a natural immunity to it's probably better than the other. Um, I will tell you a quick story, and this kind of rung home for me. One of our publishers, guys don't know we do magazines, and one of our guys does the Noblesville Westfield magazine, Brandon Baltz. And I'll probably get this story a little bit wrong, but the generality of it will be enough to get people the idea. Um, his wife Peggy works in an healthcare office with 12 people. She's one of 12 employees. 3 weeks ago this Thursday, and somebody came to work. They had a little, like a little lunch thing together, all in the boardroom. Everybody's in the same room together. They all work together. That night, one of the employees goes home, doesn't feel well, wakes up the next morning, has got a fever, goes down and buys the test. See if I can get another $100 from Abbott Labs. Buy the test from CVS. They test positive for COVID. So they call the office and inform them, hey, I'm positive for COVID. They said, well, did you have the vaccine? They said, yeah, I was vaccinated, but I still got COVID. Come to find out, 5 other people in the office that were vaccinated all got COVID from that one person having COVID. There were 6 people in the office who were unvaccinated but had COVID previously. So they had COVID just like I did, kind of naturally somehow. None of those 6 people that had COVID got COVID from that girl that came to the office. So I don't know what a better split you can do than having a 50-50 split. The half that had COVID didn't get it, and the half that had the vaccine all got COVID. I don't know how much better you can get than that, but I'm no scientist, but I can tell you if you've had COVID vaccine, be really careful because you can still get it, especially you got it back when I got it back in March or even in April. You are not immune from COVID.
Well, and I have a Facebook friend who's had it 3 times, and twice before the vaccine, and he had it very mildly after. But it's like all of our bodies are different, and this
Yep.
is new, so we're
Yep.
doing the best we can with the information that we have. But nobody, like you said, Tom, nobody's bulletproof.
Nobody's bulletproof. And look at, I hear all these parents just railing on school systems for making their kids wear a mask. They think that's just terrible, right? Well, there's no scientific proof that kids can give adults. Well, they're not worried about that. They're worried about kids getting other kids COVID. And I look at Noblesville Middle School. This happened just a couple weeks ago. Noblesville Middle School had to shut down. They had 62 confirmed cases of COVID in the first 2 days of school. Had to go to virtual learning for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
62 kids in one middle school coming down with COVID in the first 2 days of school. You don't think they need to be wearing masks? I mean, I don't want to be the mask guy and the guy get flamed out on social media for telling people to wear a mask. But there's a time and a place where masks should be worn. And if
Yeah.
you're around a lot of people and you're less than 6 feet away, wear a damn mask. I mean, that's
Yep.
the only thing I can tell you. And if you don't want to do that because you don't think it's your God-given right, you don't think that the government should tell you what to do, you think the health department's making it up, Fauci's a joke, have your own theories, okay? But I can tell you right now, you're going to get COVID. And when you do, just like some of these other people that have come out in the news in the last week who are out there saying that COVID is a joke and everything else, and they end up getting COVID and dying from it, I think you just need to get the shot, get the vaccine. Now, the vaccine is not going to make you bulletproof. It'll make a few of them maybe bounce off of you, and maybe if you're lucky, you won't get it. But what it will do is keep you out of the hospital. I think the science and the numbers have proven that.
Yep.
So get the vaccine, stay out of the hospital, but also don't walk around like you're bulletproof because you are not bulletproof. And I am living proof of that. If I have to go to my grave telling people that, that's what I'm going to tell them. This will not protect you from COVID, period.
Well, and I think to add to that, Tom, don't be the reason that somebody else gets it. Even if you think, you know what, I am bulletproof and I'm not going to get it, don't walk around breathing the same air as someone who you may give it to.
Yeah,
And it's not going to be the good outcome for them.
I was really nervous in those first 3 or 4 days. I mean, Jeannie's already taken 3 tests. She took one last.
I was going to ask you, she's still doing okay?
Yeah, she's doing fine. She's not testing for it. But we've done a really conscious, good job of quarantining. My meals can attest to that.
Yeah.
but I think of all these people that are out there wandering around and are like, well, if I do have it and I give it to somebody who hasn't been vaccinated, that's their fault. No, it's not. You may not know their situation. They may not be able to have the vaccine, or
Yeah.
they may have had the vaccine like I did, and you're still going to give it to them. Um, and I tell you, the one thing that's kind of weird about this, when now that I'm getting in the last hours of this, hopefully, or last days of this, and I don't know, I could take a turn for the south, and as soon as this feed's over. As I get in the later hours, I started thinking I was telling Jeannie about this last night. We do a lot of FaceTiming now. And I told her, I said, um, the hard part for this is I feel better. I just have a mild fever. I can imagine if I didn't have the luxury of being able to work from home and I had to go punch a time clock somewhere, or if I'm a migrant worker and my family's depending on me working because I only get paid if I show up, how easy it would be for me to mask my symptoms and just go back to work and just try to stay away from people, not knowing that I'm infecting everybody that I come in contact with. So I really feel for people that don't have the luxury of staying home. And if you don't want to get COVID for any other reason, are you ready to take 2 weeks off and unpaid work, or use your vacation time sitting in quarantine in your bedroom with or without good room service? Are you ready for that? Because that's what you're looking at if you get it. So wear a mask. Be careful. You are not bulletproof, even with the vaccine.
Well, I am glad to see that you, knock on wood, appear to be at the end of this and coming out of
Yeah.
it, and so relieved that it didn't get any worse for you, and glad that you've had lots of people around you to,
Yes.
well, no one around you, but lots of people outside of your
Yes.
quarantine room making sure you're okay.
I have a lot of family support. One of the meals. I don't think I put this one up. Um, Hang on a minute. I got to pull this up. I think I did this picture. Let me show this to you guys real quick. So even my parents came over and dropped off food. So Jeannie is quite the chef. Okay, my wife Jeannie can cook with anybody. But mom and dad brought over some Culvers on Sunday.
Oh, the crinkle fries.
The
So
crinkle
good.
fries and a double
Butter
butter
burger.
burger with pickles, with mustard and ketchup. So
Very nice.
so thanks to all my family for doing that. And if you guys have family members that are quarantined with COVID, the best thing you can do is just stay in touch with them. Try to stay in touch with them. Bring them
Oh, I
food.
think it's time for you to wrap it up, Tom.
Mm. Bring
It's
them
taking
food.
a lot out of you. That was one of the things I was worried about doing this is
Well,
taking too much
it's
of
not
your
that
energy.
bad. I haven't really had a chance to talk to many people, so it's kind of nice just to be able to talk about it. But just really try to support them. Get them some Tylenol. Go down to CVS and buy the test. That CVS is telling you they'll only sell you one of those per household. But they're
Your
not.
mother just told you to wrap it up, Tom.
That's enough. Come on, Mom.
Thanks, Mom, Brett.
Isn't your phone about ready to die anyway? But no, just they only sell you like one per household,
Okay.
but they're not tracking that. So just try to be conservative with them. I took 2 tests in the first hour. I probably shouldn't have done that. I probably should have
Don't
held on to one of them.
don't be Tom.
Don't be me. Don't be wasteful. But they do have them. They're $25 a piece. There's another $50. Thank you, Abbott Labs, for the text message for the extra money.
Cha-ching.
Ching. But no, if you guys want to get an immediate test, I would go to Dr. Aziz Pharmacy. If you're listening on the northeast side of town, Dr. Aziz is right across from Community Health or Community Hospital, just off 82nd and 69. You can just walk in. They take insurance cards, so I haven't paid for a COVID test yet, and they give you results in less than 4 hours. So
Wow.
that was kind of I guess a good confirmation that I had it, but also kind of, since they report theirs to the Marion County Health Department, it was good to kind of get that in the system so they know that
Right.
I got it. And it was Dr. Z's, they've done a great job down there. I was down there probably, this would have been last summer. I went down there a couple of times because I'd been exposed, and we're getting ready to travel or have a birthday party. I want to make sure I could, I wasn't
Right.
had COVID. So you could go down there and it had lines wrapped around the building back
And
then. Now you can just walk in to the main office and just go back and get a test and you're done. So how I recommend it. I did want to show one more thing. This is
there's more food. I
no
haven't had
more food
lunch yet.
shots.
I
I'm
haven't
getting
had
hungry.
lunch, and I have to go tape Pet Pals TV after this, Tom. You're killing me.
Well, let me show you this. This is off the coronavirus.in.gov website. This is the state of Indiana's coronavirus, and this is hospitalizations. This goes all the way back. You see this spike right here in the middle. There were 3,460 COVID patients hospitalized on November the 30th. If you remember, the end of last year, we had that big spike
Yep.
in hospitalizations, and look where we are right now.
Eek.
Yeah, we're back to 2,200 people in the hospital right now in Indiana from COVID. Now, this isn't deaths. This is people in the hospital with COVID. So, we can scroll up. I can show you just that mirrors the positive rate. This is a statewide cases by day. It's kind of hard to see this, but this is back in like November. 1st of December was 5,400 positive cases that day. And here we are now in August.
Yikes.
3,500 cases are positive right now in Indiana. They're confirmed. So again,
being tired of it isn't going to make it go away.
I know you're tired of hearing about it. And Larry Moyer was asking which shot I got. I got the J&J, the Johnson & Johnson, the one shot. And Larry, just like you, I had about a week of side effects. You're Pfizer vaccinated with 2 shots. So from what I understand, and I listened to an immunologist, I'm going to interview an immunologist later today. I'll post that video later.
Oh, please do.
But from what I understand, each vaccine that they gave had different numbers of immunization, like 94% immunization levels, 95%, 89%. So those numbers all were different. My J&J one was in the middle of the pack. It wasn't the best, wasn't the worst. But again, I had that back in March. So, I mean,
yeah,
your body's going to lose some of that immunity. So, Larry, my recommendation, bud, is just pretend like you haven't been immunized. And in your mind, you have to go back to where we were before we got the shot, of just being extra careful and being cautious and just being respectful of the virus. And you're going to hear people downplay it. I had a guy say masks don't work. Yeah, masks don't work. Okay, great. But you know what masks do? They keep you from putting your fingers in your mouth. And guess how you get COVID? You have to get it orally somehow into your mouth. So if the mask doesn't keep you from expressing your spit or whatever it is that you may have, it keeps your hands out of your mouth. So if nothing else, look at it as a way to keep your hands out of your mouth. Like my grandpa.
We also haven't had colds and the flu and like all this stuff as well. It's like, there's I don't know that I'll ever go back to a life where I never wear a mask, because especially with asthma, there's just been things where I'm like, wow, it's been really nice to not be sick with anything for a year.
Yeah, it is weird.
Yeah.
Well, I think I'm going to sign off now. I know we've got some people watching it. If you guys have just started watching late, when this is over, you can go back and watch from the beginning, kind of hear my story about how things got. I appreciate all the well wishes from people. A lot of people have texted me. I've had a lot of friends I haven't seen in a couple of years text me and wish me well. You guys, I'm vaccinated. My case of this is nil compared to what other people are dealing with. So if you have people that you know that are immune compromised, people that have not been vaccinated that come down with COVID, please get them some help. Stay on top of them. Make sure they're taking their Tylenol. Make sure they're taking their vitamin D and zinc and all the other stuff. And just keep an eye out for them. I do have an oximeter. My son-in-law had COVID back when it first started about a year ago. And we got an oximeter that goes on your finger and tells your oxygen levels. What they will tell you is if your oxygen levels go below 90%, you need to go to ER immediately. So they're going to bring that over. I'm just going to take a precaution. I don't think I'm anywhere close to that. But I am a little raspy today that I wasn't the last few days. And I've also, last night and this morning, I went out and took a walk. I was on the other side of the street from Jeannie, and we wore masks getting outside. We got outside, we walked down the street, took a loop around, came back, put the mask back on, came back in the house. I think that humidity and stuff is also kind of flaring us up, but they tell you it's a good idea to get outside, get as much fresh air as possible. So, take your Tylenol, take your stuff, stay hydrated, and try to get outside as much as you can. And for nothing else but sanity, just get you out of your
exactly
for a little bit of time. And I will be posting as soon as my fever breaks. Now, last night I was all excited. I had right before I went to sleep, I got this thermometer. I take my temperature about 40 times a day. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like a stockbroker watching the market with my temperature. Up, down. So I took it last night, and for the first time in 9 days, my temperature was 96.6, which is my normal temperature.
Wow.
So Jeannie's going to bed in the other room. Hey, Jeannie, guess what? My temperature's back to normal. She's like, great, still sleeping in here. I say, I know. But it's normal. I checked it twice. It was normal. I woke up this morning. It's back up to 97.7.
Of course.
98.2 earlier. So I'm watching it religiously. But as soon as that fever breaks, and what CDC tells you is you need your fever to be normal for 48 hours before you come out of quarantine, and with no pain reliever, no Tylenol. So I haven't taken a Tylenol since yesterday morning. I'm not taking any more. But as soon as that fever breaks, I'll be posting it online to let you guys know my quarantine is over.
He's going to be running through the streets of Fisher screaming, guys.
Running and coughing and not wearing a mask.
We're all going to know when Tom's out of quarantine.
Yeah. But no,
well, I'm glad it's a week later and you're here and doing so much better than you were last week at this time. And again, I've been following your posts and appreciate you sharing your story and taking today, even though you're still sick, to share some information. And maybe somebody who was watching today, even if one person changes their mind a little bit, is a little more cognizant, like you said, having a little more respect for the virus and what it can do, then
right. I'll be anxious to see. Right now the state is not really reporting this, but how many people of the new cases that are coming out are actually vaccinated versus unvaccinated? I think that'd be an interesting number, because the only number we're hearing about are the ones who get hospitalized who are vaccinated, and that's 1%, which is it's great news, right? That's not a lot of people.
That's what we wanted, right?
That's what we want. I'm just curious how many people like myself are out there who were vaccinated, who are now coming out. My neighbor across the street has COVID. She was vaccinated. Another lady down the street from me had COVID. She was vaccinated. So there's a lot of us out there that are, quote, breakthrough cases. But I would just recommend to everybody, just treat it with respect, even if you've been vaccinated. And I would highly recommend getting the booster if it can help your chances at all to keep, if you do get COVID, down, or if you don't get COVID, keep you out of the hospital, maybe just to get that booster shot and kind of get that immunity built back up. I'd highly recommend getting that done.
If my doctor's watching, I'm ready for that booster.
It's coming.
I've been in this. I haven't had asthma severe enough to be considered like the high risk according to like I've had to behave like I'm high risk, but I don't get any of the first in line, get the vaccine high risk perks. I don't know if that's a perk, but
I'm not VIP yet, right? You're not VIP status with this vaccine.
My inability to breathe properly isn't severe enough. So,
maybe you need to fake it a little bit more. All right, you guys. Well, KJ, thanks for hearing me out, and everybody, if you're watching this, just just be careful out there and don't take it for granted. And remember, if you are vaccinated, you are not bulletproof. You can get it. Just look at me. All right, you guys have a great day. I'll
All right,
check in with
keep getting
everybody.
better, Tom.
I'll share some more stuff on my feed later on. Take care,
All right,
everybody.
bye-bye.
Bye-bye.